Hey, Student Success, this is your week 8 video, which means this is it, last week of the semester. So we're going to hop to it. So this week runs from May 10th through the 14th. So some of you already took advantage of this week being open early because it did open during week 7. But I do want to just point out a reminder, as I've mentioned before, it is on the syllabus, that Friday is your date for everything to be due because the semester ends on a Friday. That way I can wrap up grades and have them completely done over that weekend. So you can see here that there were originally 2 assignments that went with this week. I have crossed this one out, so you are not doing this one. You won't even see it inside the assignment folder. So you are not doing the Chapter 3 assignment. You are only doing the Cultural Intelligence Survey assessment, and then your Student Services Workshop assignment is due. So your certificate for your workshop is due by Friday the 14th. So remember, inside the Lessons tab, right here, you would click in. A couple of you have already submitted the workshop, but if you have not done so already, you'll go down and you'll Dropbox your submission right in here. So if you've not submitted your workshop, that is due by the 14th when our semester ends. So again, going down, we're in week 8. It does cover chapters 3 and 9, thinking about thought in the social world. So I'm just going to go ahead and talk about these chapters for just a few minutes. So chapter 3 is, as I mentioned, thinking about thought. So what does that mean? Talking about metacognition, knowing kind of as you're thinking, as you're working, as you're studying, what's working, what's not working, what needs adjusted. So there's, again, as most of our chapters have, like that self-assessment, some goal setting that you want to do. And then so it's going to talk to you about kind of what it means to be like college thinking. And so what do they mean by thinking? The first thing they're going to talk about is kind of like your levels of thinking. If you're an education major, Bloom's taxonomy should sound maybe a little familiar, or you'll see it in the next coming, couple semesters. Bloom's taxonomy, the different levels of thinking, from the basic level of remembering and recalling all the way up through creating. At the most kind of ultimate form of thinking is being able to create something, and everything that falls in between. And so this section talks about Bloom's taxonomy and how just about everything we do academically and even sometimes non-academically can fall in one of these or multiple of these categories. And so it's going to go through, talking to you about, are you using these different kind of thinking? When do you use the different kind of thinking in this taxonomy? And here are some verbs that connect to each of those kinds of thinking or levels of thinking, which will lend itself right into critical thinking. We as college students, as those in the collegiate environment, proficient thinking is fine, but we want to be critical in our thinking. We want to look at things and not just take them for surface level. We want to be able to really evaluate and see what the thesis is, the author's point of view, the purpose, the bias, all of those kind of things. And so this is going to talk a little bit about the critical thinking process, how you should go through, maybe like a decision making using critical thinking, looking at different options, looking at fallacies. These are things that weaken an argument. And so you may see people people in the news, maybe yourself even, use some of these fallacies, things that weaken arguments, and so that you can identify when an author is using those, and again, think more critically about that. So this is going to go through, again, the critical thinking. The next section is going to talk about like kind of more creative thinking, and sometimes called like free form thinking. And what is creative thinking? Because we want to be both a critical thinker as well as a creative thinker. And so how can we become more creative? Sometimes you might hear people say, or even maybe as yourself, like, I'm not very creative. So how can you become more creative in your thinking? And so this is going to go over tips for your creative thinking. What can you do to be more creative in your thinking? So here are kind of those tips there. And then, as this was kind of already brought up a little bit, but problem solving and decision making. So what do you do when you have a big decision? Hopefully you don't just, willy-nilly make decisions, but you go through a process. You look at what the problem is, narrow it down, look at possible solutions, brainstorm some things, and then choose the best solution, and then reflect on your choice. And so this will talk about that part of the process. And then, as I mentioned, this also goes over Chapter 9. So Chapter 9 talks about the social world of college. And so, no matter what age we are, really, whether we're fresh out of high school or we're a little bit more wise in our years, so to speak, we have to interact with other people. And so part of that is kind of being aware of just social components and interacting with people in a social atmosphere, both, in the collegiate atmosphere as well as in the professional one. And so this is going to talk about, going along with others and interacting with them and making new friends and communicating, because sometimes communication skills, both verbal and nonverbal, is what is missing from relationships. And so this will give you some tips on communicating effectively, and in terms of also being an effective listener. Sometimes you might be talking to someone and they're not really listening, they're just waiting for their turn to talk. And so what can people, ourselves included, do to make sure that we are more active listeners? We're more effective in our listening. We're not just waiting to talk, but we really are listening to the person with whom we're having a conversation. And so this will go through those tips right here and how it connects to online social networking. And then this will also talk about diversity and the importance of diversity, because we do live and work in a very diverse field. And so the advantages that diversity gives us, and then also what does it mean to be diverse? Because sometimes we often think of these like outside factors that make us diverse, but then this is also going to talk about, we can be diverse in our education, where we've lived, our age, we can be diverse in our abilities. And so there's lots of ways that we can be diverse, and it will go through again those benefits of diversity, specifically then how it's connected to, how can we get involved and interact with people on campus. Well, over here on the Stark State homepage under current info for current students, we do have, I'll just kind of walk you through a link of all the student clubs here on campus and all the different ways that we can get involved. And so these are great ways to build your resume, create a network, interact socially with people. And so, I know it's the end of the spring semester, but if you're even looking at like how to get involved in the fall, there's a whole list of all of these different clubs and activities, both for just fun and then as well as those that connect to your career field. So I encourage you to take a look and drop down and read a little bit more about each of those. So that's Chapter 9. So when you get back into here, into the assignment folder, again, you will not even see Chapter 3. It'll be hidden for you. So you just have this cultural intelligence survey assessment. It's going to open up, and it's going to be one of these where you're going to need to hit play and make sure you let the very last slide run all the way through the end and that it copies over into the grade book. Okay, so that is due by Friday, May 14th. Again, and that'll serve for your week 8 attendance as well. And then also, if you haven't already, you want to submit your student services workshop. I will ask that if you have not completed the evaluation for the course, over here under my survey dashboard, you'll click on that, you'll find student success and remark, and you'll take that for me, please, if you have not done so already. Okay, so real quick recap, week 8, due Friday, May 14th. Look through those materials, make sure you submit the cultural intelligence survey by the 14th and your student services workshop by the 14th as well. That's how you're going to also get your week 8 attendance. And I just want to say, thank you all for a nice second 8-week session. Interacting with everyone is always tougher, I think, online, but I've enjoyed reading and getting to know each of you. And I wish everyone good luck as you finished up the rest of spring semester. And if you have any questions or need anything as you progress through your time here at the college, please feel free to reach out, pop in whenever we're all back on campus again in the fall. And I hope everyone has a great summer and a good luck in the fall semester. All right, signing off for the last time. Bye.